Imagine this, you're walking through your home holding a glass of water when suddenly your legs give out beneath you. The floor rushes up faster than you can react, and before you realize it, you've fallen. This isn't a rare accident. For many seniors, it's the first terrifying sign of muscles silently wasting away. What makes this even more shocking is that the cause often isn't lack of exercise or poor diet. It can be traced back to one vitamin deficiency that doubles the risk of muscle loss after 60. As a senior health neurologist, I've seen countless patients who believed they were doing everything right, eating balanced meals, staying moderately active, and even avoiding unhealthy habits. Yet they still found themselves weaker year by year, unable to climb stairs without holding the railing or too exhausted to carry groceries from the car. Their mistake was simple but devastating. They ignored one essential vitamin, and the consequences were far more severe than they imagined. Before we dive deeper, let me pause here. If you haven't subscribed yet, I strongly recommend you hit that button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another life-saving tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If you don't, type 0 so I'll know how to create better content for you. Your feedback matters. Now here's the truth. While many people associate vitamin deficiencies with childhood or poor nutrition, the reality is that older adults are the most vulnerable. And when you overlook this particular vitamin, your muscles shrink faster, your balance falters, and your independence slips away. Today I'm going to walk you through the hidden danger behind ignoring this nutrient and why addressing it may be the single most important step you can take to protect your strength and independence. When you think about vitamins, you might imagine colorful capsules lined up on a pharmacy shelf, or perhaps the nutrients hidden inside your daily meals. But when it comes to seniors over 60, one vitamin stands out as the cornerstone of muscle preservation: vitamin D. This nutrient isn't just about bone strength, as most people assume. It plays a direct and irreplaceable role in how your muscles function, contract, and recover. Ignoring it means leaving your muscles defenseless, and the results can be catastrophic. From a medical perspective, the body's ability to synthesize vitamin D weakens dramatically with age. Younger skin can convert sunlight into vitamin D with relative ease, but in someone aged 65 or older, the skin produces about 75% less vitamin D from the same amount of sunlight. That drop is staggering. Add to this the reality that many seniors spend less time outdoors, wear long sleeves, or use sunscreen to protect fragile skin, and you begin to see why deficiency is practically inevitable. Let me introduce you to one of my patients. Mrs. Linda, a 72-year-old retired teacher. Linda lived a quiet, content life, spending most of her time indoors, reading and caring for her plants. She prided herself on her healthy diet, plenty of vegetables, lean proteins, and even daily walks around her home. Yet she came to me complaining of constant fatigue and weakness in her legs. At first she assumed it was simply old age. But during her examination I noticed how difficult it was for her to stand up from the chair without using her arms. That weakness wasn't just age, it was vitamin D deficiency stealing her muscle strength day by day. Here's the frightening part. Research shows that seniors with low vitamin D levels are twice as likely to suffer muscle loss compared to those with adequate levels. That means every time Linda skipped her supplement, her muscles paid the price. Within months, she found herself struggling with balance, and one day she tripped on a rug and fractured her hip. What shocked her most wasn't the pain of the fracture, but the realization that it could have been prevented with something as simple as correcting her vitamin D. Vitamin D acts almost like a signal switch for your muscles. Without it, your muscle fibers don't contract efficiently. Your reflexes slow, and your recovery after activity is delayed. This isn't just a matter of being a little tired. It directly raises your risk of falls, fractures, and permanent disability. And here's a lesser-known fact: vitamin D deficiency also reduces your ability to absorb magnesium, another mineral vital for muscle repair. The chain reaction is brutal: weak absorption, weak muscles, weak bones, and finally weak independence. Linda's story doesn't end there. With consistent supplementation, safe sunlight exposure, and dietary adjustments, she regained a surprising amount of her leg strength within 6 months. But her recovery was slow and required discipline, proof that prevention is always easier than repair. So let me ask you this: if a simple vitamin could prevent your muscles from wasting away, why would you ignore it? And yet most seniors do. But vitamin D isn't working alone. Its impact grows even more severe when it fails to pair with calcium, the very mineral your muscles and bones depend on. And that leads us to the next truth you must know. Calcium is often praised as the mineral that keeps bones strong, but very few seniors realize it is useless without its partner, vitamin D. Think of calcium as the bricks that build your house, and vitamin D as the worker who carries those bricks into place. Without the worker, the bricks pile up outside, never becoming part of the structure. In the same way, without vitamin D, your body can't absorb calcium properly, leaving your bones brittle and your muscles robbed of their true power. When calcium remains unabsorbed, it doesn't just fail to strengthen your skeleton, it creates imbalances that affect how your muscles contract. Muscles rely on calcium to send signals that trigger movement. Every time you lift your arm, climb a step, or grip a handle, calcium ions flow in and out of your muscle cells, telling them when to tighten and when to relax. But if your body is deficient in vitamin D, this calcium signaling weakens. The result? Slower reflexes, shaky legs, and an increased likelihood of falls. Let me share a story. Mr. Raymond, 66, a retired carpenter, came to my clinic after a frightening fall in his workshop. He had always been a strong, capable man who built furniture with his own hands, but recently he noticed his grip had weakened. He could no longer hold a hammer for more than a few minutes without his hands trembling. His diet was rich in calcium because he drank milk daily and even took calcium tablets prescribed years earlier. So why was his strength fading? Blood tests revealed the truth: his vitamin D levels were critically low. All the calcium he was taking wasn't reaching his muscles or bones. It was like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. This is the hidden danger many seniors don't realize. You may be proud of your milk, yogurt, or supplement routine, but if you ignore vitamin D, that calcium never gets properly utilized. Worse, unabsorbed calcium can deposit in the wrong places, such as arteries, leading to another serious risk: vascular calcification, which stiffens your blood vessels and raises your risk of heart problems. What frightened Mr. Raymond most was the speed of his decline. Within just a year, he had lost nearly 15% of his muscle mass. His once steady hands now shook when he tried to carve wood, and his legs felt heavy as if lead weights were tied to his ankles. Once we corrected his vitamin D deficiency, his muscles slowly responded. His grip improved, his steps became steadier, and his confidence returned. But the scar of that fall and the weeks he spent recovering left him wishing he had acted sooner. Calcium and vitamin D are partners in a delicate dance. One cannot perform without the other. Seniors who ignore this partnership risk not only brittle bones but also a dangerous acceleration of muscle wasting. It's a silent thief that sneaks up in everyday moments, struggling to open a jar, wobbling when stepping off a curb, or needing to rest halfway up the stairs. And here's where the danger deepens. Many seniors think that by eating protein and exercising regularly, they're safe from muscle decline. But the truth is shocking. Even with all the protein shakes and gym sessions in the world, your muscles cannot rebuild if vitamin D and calcium aren't working together. So the next logical question is, can protein alone protect you from this decline? Let's uncover the answer in the next section. When you think of protecting your muscles, protein is probably the first thing that comes to mind. After all, every health magazine, fitness program, and even most doctors emphasize protein as the foundation for strength. And it's true, protein provides the amino acids that repair and build muscle fibers. But here's the shocking reality: if you're over 60 and ignoring vitamin D, protein alone won't save you. It's like trying to build a house with stacks of bricks but no mortar to hold them together. The aging body has unique challenges. With every passing decade, a condition called anabolic resistance makes it harder for muscles to respond to protein intake. That means seniors need more protein per meal than younger adults to trigger the same muscle-building effect. But even if you consume enough, your muscles can't properly utilize that protein without vitamin D. This vitamin acts almost like the ignition switch, activating receptors in your muscles that allow protein to be absorbed and turned into strength. Without it, the protein simply passes through your system, offering far less benefit than you hoped. Take the story of Mr. Johnson, a 70-year-old former police officer. After retirement, he became passionate about health. He lifted light weights 3 times a week, drank his protein shakes daily, and ate lean meats and eggs. Yet despite all this effort, he was alarmed to find his arms getting thinner and his stamina fading. His doctor initially told him he was doing everything right, but when he suffered a serious fall in his driveway, breaking his wrist, the truth surfaced. Tests revealed he was severely deficient in vitamin D. His muscles weren't responding to the protein at all because the critical vitamin needed to unlock its effect was missing. This experience crushed Mr. Johnson emotionally. Imagine dedicating so much effort, faithfully working out, avoiding junk food, investing in supplements, only to discover that all of it was nearly wasted because of a single overlooked nutrient. The good news is, once his vitamin D levels were corrected, the transformation was dramatic. Within months, his body finally started responding to the protein and exercise he was already doing. His biceps regained definition, his grip strength returned, and most importantly, his confidence in his independence grew. Here's the overlooked science: vitamin D influences muscle protein synthesis through receptors found directly in your muscle tissue. Without enough of it, your muscles literally can't hear the signal from protein to grow. And the consequence is what many seniors see but don't understand: shrinking arms and legs, softer muscles, and a dangerous cycle of weakness even while they feel like they're doing everything right. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you thought, "I'm just getting older, that's why I'm weaker"? What if that weakness wasn't just age but a fixable deficiency? Too many seniors accept frailty as inevitable when in fact, it can often be slowed, even reversed with the right approach. But there's another hidden reason seniors miss their vitamin D targets: sunlight. Many believe a short daily walk outdoors is enough to keep levels healthy. Sadly, that's not true for most older adults. And that sunlight problem is quietly accelerating muscle decline worldwide. Let's explore why in the next section. Most of us grew up hearing that sunlight was the natural source of vitamin D. Step outside, let the rays hit your skin, and you're covered. But what many seniors don't realize is that after 60, this process doesn't work the same way it did in their youth. Your skin's ability to convert ultraviolet B (UVB) rays into vitamin D decreases sharply with age by as much as 50 to 75%. That means a 20-minute walk that once gave you enough vitamin D in your 30s may barely make a dent in your levels now. I remember Mrs. Kim, a 68-year-old retired nurse who prided herself on her daily routine of gardening. She told me proudly, "Doctor, I'm in the sun every morning, so I don't need supplements." Yet when she came to me complaining of constant leg cramps and difficulty climbing stairs, I ran her blood work. The results stunned her. Her vitamin D levels were critically low. Despite spending hours outside, her body simply couldn't make enough of it anymore. Her muscles were starving while she thought she was protected. There's another problem. Modern life keeps us indoors far more than previous generations. Seniors often spend most of their time inside watching television, reading, or caring for grandchildren. And when they do go outside, they're advised, rightly so, to wear sunscreen to prevent skin cancer. Sunscreen with an SPF as low as 15 can block over 90% of vitamin D production. So between weaker skin conversion and protective habits, the sunlight that should be your ally turns out to be an unreliable source. Even geography plays a role. If you live north of the 37th parallel, the line that runs roughly through San Francisco to Richmond, you may not get enough UVB rays for vitamin D synthesis during the winter months, no matter how long you spend outside. Seniors in these regions often experience a seasonal drop in strength, noticing that they feel weaker, more fatigued, and prone to minor falls in the colder months. Mrs. Kim learned this the hard way when she suffered a fall in her kitchen. She was carrying a pot of soup, stumbled, and couldn't catch herself. The spill burned her leg, but what frightened her most was that her muscles simply didn't respond quickly enough to steady her body. That fall became her wake-up call. She started supplementation, monitored her levels, and within months her cramps eased and her balance returned. But she admitted she wished she had known sooner. Here's the sobering truth. Sunlight is no longer a guarantee for vitamin D once you pass 60. Your skin can't keep up. Your lifestyle reduces exposure, and safety precautions block what little you might produce. And while some foods provide vitamin D like fatty fish or fortified milk, the amounts are often too small to meet the needs of seniors without help. So the question becomes, if sunlight is unreliable and food alone isn't enough, what else might be stealing your vitamin D without you realizing it? The answer lies in something shocking: your medications. In the next section, we'll uncover how common prescriptions could be quietly draining your vitamin D and doubling your risk of muscle loss. By the time most people reach their 60s or 70s, prescription bottles line their cabinets like soldiers standing in a row. Blood pressure pills, cholesterol-lowering statins, diabetes medications, acid reducers. The list can grow long over the years. Each one may serve an important purpose, but what many seniors don't realize is that some of these very medications can silently block or reduce vitamin D in the body. And when that happens, your muscles pay the steepest price. One of the most common culprits is glucocorticoids, often prescribed for arthritis, asthma, or inflammatory conditions. These drugs interfere with how vitamin D is metabolized in the kidneys, cutting its effectiveness dramatically. Another is anti-epileptic drugs, such as phenytoin or phenobarbital, which speed up the breakdown of vitamin D in the liver, leaving you deficient even if you're eating well or getting sunlight. And let's not forget proton pump inhibitors, PPIs, acid reflux medications like omeprazole or lansoprazole. These are widely used by seniors, and over time they reduce calcium absorption by altering stomach acidity. Without calcium absorption, vitamin D's role in muscle and bone health collapses. Let me tell you about Mr. Alvarez, a 74-year-old retired mechanic. He had been on cholesterol medication and acid reflux pills for years. He thought his biggest battle was with his heart and stomach, but then his legs began to betray him. He described it vividly. "Doctor, I feel like my muscles are melting away. I get up from bed and it's as if my legs don't want to hold me." He assumed age was catching up, but his lab results painted a clearer picture. Severe vitamin D deficiency worsened by his long-term medication use. What alarmed me most was how quickly his decline escalated. Within 18 months, he lost nearly 20% of his leg strength. Walking up his porch steps became exhausting, and eventually he needed a cane for support. This wasn't simply old age. It was a cascade effect triggered by medication draining his vitamin D reserves. Once we identified the problem, his healthcare team adjusted his prescriptions and introduced targeted supplementation. Slowly his strength improved, but the time lost was something he could never fully recover. Here's a lesser-known fact. Some diuretics often used for high blood pressure also disrupt vitamin D and calcium balance, leading to muscle weakness and cramps. When multiple medications stack together, the depletion effect multiplies. That means seniors with complex medication schedules are at the highest risk of hidden muscle loss, even if they believe they're doing everything right. This is why it's critical to review medications regularly with a doctor, not only to manage the conditions they treat, but also to check how they affect nutrients. Too often the focus is on immediate symptom control, while the silent cost, shrinking muscle, increased fall risk, and reduced independence goes unnoticed. Let me ask you, how many pills are sitting in your cabinet right now? And how often has anyone told you those pills could be stealing your vitamin D? For many seniors, the answer is never. Yet this knowledge could mean the difference between walking confidently on your own or depending on a walker for the rest of your life. And while medications are one thief of vitamin D, nature itself plays another cruel trick. When the seasons change and winter sets in, seniors face an invisible trap that leaves their muscles weaker and their risks higher. Let's talk about that next. Winter brings with it cozy blankets, warm soups, and family gatherings. But hidden beneath the beauty of snow-covered mornings lies a danger that most seniors don't recognize until it's too late. This is what I call the winter trap, a silent enemy that drains your vitamin D levels and accelerates muscle loss when you need strength the most. Why is winter so dangerous? The answer begins with sunlight. During colder months, the sun sits lower in the sky, and its rays strike the earth at a weaker angle. For those living in northern regions, UVB radiation is so limited in winter that your body can't produce enough vitamin D, even if you stand outside in direct sunlight for hours. Add to this the heavy coats, scarves, and gloves that cover nearly every inch of skin, and the body's ability to create vitamin D drops close to zero. Let me tell you about Mrs. Peterson, a 75-year-old grandmother from Minnesota. Every year she loved baking cookies for her grandchildren during the holidays. But one winter, she noticed something alarming. Her legs felt unusually heavy, and she struggled to lift her mixing bowls. At first, she thought it was just the fatigue of the season. Then one January morning, she slipped on her icy driveway. Though she didn't break a bone, the fall shook her confidence. When she came to see me, her vitamin D levels were almost non-existent. The culprit: months of winter darkness had drained her reserves, leaving her muscles frail and her balance compromised. This seasonal decline isn't just about muscles. Vitamin D deficiency in winter also reduces immune function, making seniors more vulnerable to infections. Combined with weaker muscles, this creates a vicious cycle. Less activity due to fatigue and illness, further muscle loss from inactivity, and a higher risk of falls. By the time spring arrives, many seniors find themselves weaker, slower, and less independent than they were just months earlier. Another lesser-known fact is how the body stores vitamin D. While it is fat-soluble and can be stored in body fat, seniors often have reduced efficiency in mobilizing those stores. This means that even if you built up vitamin D during the summer, your body may not release enough of it in the winter to protect your muscles. It's like having money in the bank but being unable to withdraw it when you need it most. Mrs. Peterson's story has a brighter ending. After starting vitamin D supplementation and adding fortified foods to her diet, she noticed her energy returning within weeks. By the next winter, she made it through without a single fall, and she proudly told me she could once again kneel down to tie her grandchildren's skates at the ice rink. So what does this mean for you? Winter isn't just about shorter days and colder nights. It's a silent thief that strips away your body's natural defenses. Ignoring this seasonal trap means setting yourself up for rapid muscle decline every year. But sunlight and seasons aren't the only barriers. Even if you live in a sunny climate and stay outdoors, your body might still fail to absorb vitamin D properly. The reason lies in an organ most people overlook: your gut. And that's exactly where we're heading next. When we think of vitamin D, most of us picture sunlight or supplements. But there's another piece of the puzzle that often gets ignored: your gut. The truth is, even if you get enough sunlight or take the right supplements, your body may still fail to use vitamin D effectively if your digestive system isn't working properly. And for seniors, this is a hidden but devastating cause of muscle loss. As we age, our digestive efficiency declines. Stomach acid production decreases, bile flow slows, and the lining of the intestines becomes less effective at absorbing nutrients. Vitamin D, being fat-soluble, requires both stomach acid and bile for proper absorption. Without them, much of what you eat or supplement simply passes through your system unused. This means your muscles remain deprived even while you believe you're doing everything right. Take the story of Mr. Howard, a 73-year-old retired bus driver. He was diligent about his health. He took his multivitamins daily, ate fish twice a week, and even drank fortified milk. Yet he kept losing weight and complained of persistent leg weakness. Eventually, he fell while stepping off a curb and fractured his ankle. His blood tests showed extremely low vitamin D levels. The problem wasn't lack of intake, it was malabsorption. Years of acid-reducing medications for heartburn combined with age-related digestive decline had left his body unable to pull vitamin D from his diet. Here's the frightening part. Malabsorption issues are far more common in seniors than most people realize. Conditions like celiac disease, Crohn's disease, and chronic pancreatitis can all interfere with vitamin D absorption. Even without a formal diagnosis, many seniors experience silent malabsorption due to changes in gut microbiota, the community of bacteria that lives in your intestines. An unhealthy gut microbiome can reduce your ability to absorb fat-soluble vitamins, directly impacting your muscle health. Science backs this up. Research shows that seniors with poor gut health often require significantly higher doses of vitamin D supplements to achieve the same blood levels as those with healthy digestion. In other words, if your gut isn't working well, the standard dose simply won't be enough. Mr. Howard's journey is a powerful reminder. Once we identified his absorption issue, we switched him to a more bioavailable form of vitamin D liquid drops taken with healthy fats. We also worked on restoring his gut health with probiotics and fiber-rich foods. Within months, his muscle strength began to return, and he proudly told me he could once again walk his granddaughter to school without fear of stumbling. This is the hidden danger. Many seniors blame age for their weakness, when in reality it's their gut silently blocking the very nutrient their muscles need. The good news is that with proper attention, choosing the right supplement forms, pairing them with meals containing healthy fats, and improving gut health, you can overcome this barrier. So let me ask you, if your gut could be stealing your strength, wouldn't you want to know how to fight back? In the next section, I'll share an inspiring recovery story of a senior who turned his health around simply by correcting his vitamin D levels and regained the strength he thought was lost forever. Every now and then, I meet a patient whose story reminds me why knowledge is power. One such patient was Mr. Bennett, a 69-year-old retired postman. He had always been active, walking miles each day during his career, carrying heavy mail bags and enjoying the fresh air. But in retirement, things changed. His activity slowed, his diet became more relaxed, and he stopped paying attention to his nutritional needs. Within a few years, he began to notice something frightening. His legs felt unsteady, his arms grew thinner, and simple tasks like lifting groceries left him exhausted. At first, he brushed it off as just getting older, but one afternoon, while playing with his grandson in the yard, he stumbled, lost his balance, and fell. Luckily, he avoided a fracture, but the embarrassment and fear shook him deeply. His family urged him to see a doctor, and when his blood tests came back, the results were clear. He had a severe vitamin D deficiency. Despite living in a sunny area, his indoor lifestyle and aging body had silently drained his reserves, leaving his muscles weak and his independence at risk. This was the turning point. We started him on a personalized vitamin D regimen, higher doses at first to restore his levels, then a maintenance plan to keep them steady. We paired this with calcium-rich foods, daily walks outside, and light resistance exercises. At first, the progress was slow. He admitted, "Doctor, I feel like I'm moving through mud." But within 3 months, the changes were undeniable. His grip strength improved, his steps felt firmer, and the constant fatigue that had haunted him began to fade. By the 6-month mark, Mr. Bennett felt like a different man. He could climb stairs without gripping the railing. He could lift his grandson again without fear of losing his balance. And most importantly, he regained the confidence that had slipped away when his body first betrayed him. His daughter told me with tears in her eyes, "It feels like we got Dad back." What makes his story so powerful is that his recovery wasn't driven by an exotic treatment or an expensive supplement. It was as simple as recognizing and correcting a vitamin deficiency. The muscles he thought were gone forever had life left in them, waiting to be revived with the right support. But let me be clear, not everyone gets such a dramatic second chance. Many seniors don't realize the importance of vitamin D until after a fracture, a hospital stay, or a loss of independence. That's why prevention is so critical. Mr. Bennett's story is proof that it's never too late to act, but it's far better to act before weakness takes hold. Now, as we approach the end of this journey, it's time to bring everything together. You've learned how vitamin D deficiency silently robs seniors of their strength through sunlight issues, medications, winter traps, and even gut health. But how do you protect yourself moving forward? In the final section, I'll give you practical, safe, and reassuring solutions to keep your muscles strong for life. As we come to the close of this journey, I want you to pause for a moment and reflect. You've seen how one overlooked vitamin D, can set off a chain reaction that doubles your risk of muscle loss, weakens your bones, and steals your independence. From sunlight that no longer works the way it once did to medications that quietly block absorption to winter months and gut health problems, it all points to one simple truth. Aging changes how your body interacts with nutrients, and ignoring that truth comes at a high price. But here's the part I want you to hold on to. Decline is not inevitable. You are not powerless. With the right knowledge and small, consistent actions, you can reclaim your strength and preserve your independence well into your later years. Let's recap the core message. Vitamin D is more than just a bone nutrient. It is the key that unlocks calcium absorption, activates muscle fibers, and ensures protein can actually build strength. Without it, even the healthiest diet and exercise routine can fall flat. But with it, your body regains its ability to respond, repair, and protect itself. So what can you do right now? Here are 6 safe, practical steps I recommend for seniors. Choose vitamin D-rich foods. Fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel, along with fortified milk and eggs, are natural sources that add to your reserves. Consider supplementation. For many seniors, food and sunlight alone aren't enough. Daily vitamin D3 supplements taken with a meal that includes healthy fats are often the most reliable way to keep levels steady. Pair with calcium wisely. Dairy, tofu, leafy greens, and fortified foods all help, but remember, without vitamin D, calcium can't do its job. Always ensure both nutrients are addressed together. Support your gut health. A balanced diet rich in fiber, probiotics, and hydration improves absorption. A healthy gut is essential for making the most of what you consume. Move your body. Light resistance exercises, balance training, and daily walking signal to your muscles that they are still needed. Vitamin D works best when paired with movement. Get checked. A simple blood test can reveal your vitamin D levels. Don't guess, know your numbers and adjust accordingly under medical guidance. Now I know some of you may feel discouraged, thinking I've already lost so much strength. Is it too late? The answer is no. Like Mr. Bennett's story showed, muscles are resilient. With the right support, they can bounce back even after years of decline. What matters most is that you act now, not later. I want to leave you with reassurance. Your later years don't have to mean surrendering to frailty. By protecting your vitamin D levels, you are protecting more than just your muscles. You're protecting your independence, your confidence, and your ability to keep enjoying the life you've built. If you've made it this far, I'd love to hear from you. If you found this video helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 and let me know how I can improve. Your feedback means so much to me, and it helps us create better content for seniors everywhere. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another tip that could change your health and your future. Remember, knowledge is power. And by taking control of your vitamin D today, you are taking control of your tomorrow. Stay strong, stay safe, and as always, thank you for letting me be part of your journey to better health.